Today we're having pie for breakfast in honor of Pie Day coming up. But don't worry, it's healthier than it sounds. We're celebrating that freeze-dried makes it easy to eat green. So this recipe is going to feature freeze-dried spinach, which is one of my favorite ways to just add greens into my diet because it's so easy to throw it into egg dishes or even smoothies or lots of things like that. I hope to show you way more of that over the course of my blog and this channel, but one thing at a time. First things first, today it's pie. I'm Melanie, welcome or welcome back to Thriving Life. Today I'm going to show you how to make my Greek-inspired breakfast pie recipe. I only say inspired because I'm not Greek. As far as I know, I don't have any Greek ancestors. And as soon as I say something is like, oh, this is a Greek recipe, it's not authentic, okay? I'm just taking the inspiration of some of the flavors and ingredients, but I'm doing it in a way where it's ingredients that I have, it's ingredients that I'm familiar with most of the time in a way that my family will eat and enjoy. Okay, so it's only inspired by a Greek recipe, but I do not claim that they are authentic in any way to the traditions and methods and really even sometimes the ingredients that, all of you out there, that your grandmothers would have had and used. Okay, I'm going to start by cracking the eggs. So let me just say, I have food allergies. I've talked about this a little bit before. And so I am dairy-free and gluten-free most of the time. I have what are known as slow allergies. They're not like anaphylactic, which would be like fast allergies. They're like life-threatening or you have really dramatic reactions really quickly. I have what are known as slow allergies, and I discovered them through an elimination diet when I was a very young child. Now that I'm an adult, I'm a little bit more flexible. Just to say though, I have other family members who do not necessarily adhere to gluten-free or dairy-free. So, as we go about making food in our kitchen, this is our real kitchen, you might occasionally see wheat bread or you might see regular kinds of milk or yogurt. Those things do exist in my kitchen. I do not usually partake of them, but, it's a shared space and that's what you do with family. A lot of you can probably relate to having different dietary needs throughout your family. So having said that, also, I'm really only allergic to cow dairy. So I can do things like goat cheese, goat milk, and actually one of the kind of weird particular things is that I am okay with butter. So I'm not advocating for anybody who has allergies to do anything, like to follow my diet or do anything that they're not comfortable with doing. As an adult, I am comfortable with having a bit of butter, so I've greased the pie pan with butter this morning. If you don't do butter, do whatever works best for you. Back in the day, when I was a child and I was just starting out with my allergies, they used to advocate for no dairy at all. I could not even have butter, and they used to have us have margarine, which, as you probably know, margarine is not like a super healthy ingredient. So, everything is a trade-off, right? If I can't have butter, but I can have margarine, technically that's better for me, but it's not healthy. So once I discovered that I could have butter without a reaction, probably because there's not a lot of dairy protein left in butter once it's made into butter. Also because it's used in such small trace amounts. So I'm fine with that, and there's always like butter on hand in our kitchen because, as I said before, not everyone in my family is going to have the same allergies or follow the same diet that I do. But if you want, use a coconut oil, use something else, use whatever you normally use to grease your hand that you're happy and comfortable with, all right? So I have done that already off camera, just to say I always wash my hands before and after, but I don't figure that you need to see that out there. I figure that you know how to wash your hands or how you are comfortable in your kitchen, but just to say I've always already done that when we start filming. So I've got my 5 eggs in here, so I'm just going to whisk up those eggs a little bit. So I do 2/3 of a cup of plain yogurt. So this happens to be Coco June. It's a coconut yogurt that I get from Costco. You can use whatever you want, plain or Greek. If you do almond yogurt, if you do coconut yogurt, if you do regular cow Greek yogurt, sheep's yogurt, goat yogurt, any of those things would be fine. Just whatever you use for yogurt, as long as it's plain and not a fun flavor. I'm going to get my 2/3 of a cup going here. And that's going to go right in with the egg mixture. This really is kind of my favorite style of cooking, where just like almost everything goes in the same pot or the same bowl or the same pan. Not a lot of fussy different parts. Of course, I can adapt. I'm adaptable. I can do whatever. But I do like a nice simple construction like that. All right, now I'm going to add my instant polenta, or this is called instant cornmeal. It is gluten-free, so if that's important to you, get certified gluten-free. Just because there's not any gluten in corn, but a lot of products, you know, are made in the same manufacturing places and factories. So when you see things on your label that are like may contain, that's usually because of cross-contamination and trace amounts, not that that ingredient will actually be in the item. And I'm lucky enough to you know, not be so sensitive as that. Like, I don't have to worry about the trace amounts of gluten from cross-contamination. I also don't worry about it in things like makeup or other products. If people are really that sensitive, I know that's like a whole nother challenge. It's a whole nother mountain to climb, and totally my respect, because I am sometimes overwhelmed enough by food. That's why I like freeze-dried ingredients, for the simplicity that I can't even imagine if I had to look for it in all the other areas of my life as well. So shout out to those people. Keep going, keep climbing. I know it must be very, very hard. So now I'm going to add ½ teaspoon of garlic. This is freeze-dried garlic from Ready Harvest. What we have is a large can this size. Ready Harvest is the food brand. It comes from the company Thrivalist. So I have this in garlic as well, but I don't really want to pull out something this size when I just want like a ½ teaspoon of garlic. Garlic is now coming in a can this size. This is not it. We do not have any yet because it's new, but this would be the new size of the can, so you wouldn't have to do a mason jar thing. But just so you know, that's what I'm doing. That's why it looks like this. Nothing sinister going on. Just happening to do what works well in my kitchen. I do recommend this size of garlic because that's still going to last you a long time and really great. But if you know, like a family of real garlic lovers and you want to get this size and maybe that won't last you as long as I think, then go for it. It's awesome. Freeze-dried has a really long shelf life, both open and unopened, so you can get away with that. ½ teaspoon of garlic is right in there. ½ teaspoon of salt is going in as well. Then I have ½ cup of feta. So as I said before, I am fine with goat things, so I look for goat feta. You can often find feta is often like combined, part cow, part goat feta. So that's another one of those things. You know, I'm fine with it. I'm not encouraging anyone who does not know about their allergies, you know, to do goat. You can do any kind of feta you do. So I've also tried a lot of plant-based cheeses over the years before I knew that I could have goat, or before goat was as common. It seems like for me, I'm fine with anything that doesn't come from a cow. So I am fine with sheep. I am fine with goat. Lots of different things like that. But if you're not, you know, plant-based, just do whatever kind of cheese you would do. And feta is just for the flavor profile. So you could even do some other sort of soft crumbly cheese or something that you like the flavor of, you know, especially whatever you could find in a plant-based or whatever would work for your allergy. I'm just showing you and telling you what I do on a regular basis. I really don't mind plant-based cheese, but keep in mind when I say that I have been off of cow dairy for more than 25 years at this point. So I understand that to some of you that might make my palate suspect. So just do whatever you like to do. I'm going to add a teaspoon of dill. This also gives it a nice flavor. I'm sure that I am making this recipe take longer today than it would actually make, and I'm sure you can see that. I keep pausing to talk. I'm going to have to work on being able to talk to you and cook at the same time. But for the most part, just know that I would say things probably take twice as long when I'm trying to film them. Like, for instance, this doesn't need this much stirring. It's just, I'm just doing it while I keep talking to you. I might have to rewind this and see if I already added the salt. I don't really have a problem with salt, things like salt and butter in moderation. This is all these recipes are meant to be more like guidelines than what you call actual rules, okay? So if you have a problem with salt, just leave the salt out. If you have a problem finding feta, just substitute some other kind of vegan cheese or plant-based cheese, or just use regular cow feta, whatever works for you. So technically I did that in the wrong order. So you do the eggs, the yogurt, the polenta, all the seasonings. I'll put this recipe on my blog too, because I don't know if I've been good about telling you all the amounts while I'm trying to talk to you as well. Then you add the cheese, and then we're going to do the spinach. As I was showing before, this is the Ready Harvest spinach. Ready Harvest is the brand from the company Thrivalist. It's freeze-dried, so you'll see it's like dry and crunchy right now. There's going to be enough moisture in here to kind of refresh it while it bakes, so it will not be dry by the end. And spinach is one of the products, I'm continuing my theme that in March we say it's easy to eat green. Freeze-dried makes it so easy to eat green. Spinach is one of my favorite products for that, because if we have spinach on hand, as you probably know, if you buy a container of spinach, there's sometimes already like some wilty or mushy ones, but certainly like every day that you have it and that you don't eat like a large container like that, then it just keeps going bad, right? It just keeps getting wiltier and mushier and losing a lot of its nutrition. The benefit of freeze-dried, or one of the main benefits of freeze-dried, is that it retains 98% of its nutrition, right? And it's not really degrading on the counter. Freeze-drying, like, literally freezes it in that state where it has the peak of its nutrition and flavor and color and everything else. So as opposed to getting spinach from the store, like, it's probably already lost a lot of its nutrition by the time you see it and pick it up off the shelf. The only way to get something comparable nutrition to freeze-dried is if you grow it yourself, pick it, and then eat it the same day. Not always possible, especially where I live in Canada. I mean, it's actually snowy out today. So I would not be getting any fresh spinach from my own garden, certainly. But the freeze-dried is always on hand for me, so it's just that easy. I don't have to worry about wilting, mushy ones. I don't have to worry about washing it, because that's already been done like at the factory. That's already all been taken care of when it was freeze-dried. I'm just going to add that in. So if you can see, you just have the mixture, really like everything just went in. Now I'm going to pour it into my prepared dish. Ooh. Great. So the oven is already at 350, and then this is going to go in for 25 to 30 minutes. Just that simple. I probably even made it look more complicated than it actually was. As I was explaining earlier, I have been on the specialty diet. I have been off dairy, wheat, gluten, those things for a very long time. So when I was a child, very easy to feel like people were policing everything that I put in my mouth. All of a sudden, everything was, hey, doesn't that have dairy in it? Hey, doesn't that have wheat in it? Why are you eating that? What are you eating? Even if it didn't, just because people, I understand that it was coming from a place of concern, but just because people did not really know anything about ingredients, especially back then, celiac was not very well known. Gluten was not very well known. For instance, one time, I went to a class when I was like about 10, 11 years old, and we were doing a get to know you game where you would say unusual facts about yourself. And one of the things that I said was I was gluten-free. And I saw over to the side of the classroom, a boy leaned over to another boy and said, "That's a lie. I saw her eat a potato chip at lunch." Not sure why he thought that there was gluten in potato chips. Not sure what he thought that gluten was. But the point is, it was very easy for it to become a very isolating thing. I was the very strange kid in every class. I was the only one who had that. I was the only one who couldn't eat whatever when they were having a pizza day at lunch, when people brought cupcakes, cookies, other treats. I was always the only one who couldn't take any. So all of this is just to say that people don't really like to feel like you're monitoring what they eat. I'm going to say, unless you're their actual parent or guardian, or they've asked you to be some sort of accountability buddy for them. Certainly, just to speak for myself, I always think it's more comfortable that I don't want a lot of attention drawn to, what I'm eating or what, if I'm quote unquote cheating a little bit here or there. That's my choice to make as a responsible adult. And again, knowing that the slow allergies is more about chronic inflammation than violent reactions at the time. So I can usually get away with it and not have to make a big deal of it. If you have a way more serious allergy and you have to deal with it every time you go to a restaurant, be making sure that the servers and the restaurant and the chef understand, my heart goes out to you, because that just makes me feel incredibly conspicuous. It makes me feel like everybody's monitoring what I eat all the time, and that is just very activating for me. So I'm lucky enough now that I don't really have to do that, except I am signaling that to you. Please don't feel the need to, add in things like, hey, butter's not actually healthy, or hey, salt is not actually healthy, or those types of things. We're all just doing the best that we can do, right? If you don't like some of the ingredients that I use, you can absolutely change them, adapt them for the way that you like to eat. We show desserts or things on this channel as well. We will hopefully in the future show some things that are comfort food. I don't want that to be we're advocating you eat like this every day, 3 times a day, something filled with more cream or cheese. We try and just reduce where we can, do things with lower sugar, do things with less cheese, do things with better quality ingredients. This is really all about one step better cooking and eating and nutrition. We just want people to make progress, maybe make some switches where they can and find greater ease. But I don't want this to be about shaming anybody for what they eat, making anybody feel triggered or activated or monitored about whatever they're doing. I just want this to be a place for sharing recipes that bring our family a lot of joy, with ingredients that we love and that we can feel good about for the most part. Obviously, it's complicated. I mean, there's a million kind of diets that all seem to suggest different things. To me, just my own opinion as a non-expert, non-nutritionist, is what seems pretty steady over a lot of them is that getting in more fruits and vegetables is better than less and is healthier than none. So let's make this a space for grace. Be kind to each other in the comments. Let's make this hopefully just a place. I want it to be just a place for sharing ideas about nutrition, healthy recipes, healthy ingredients, where we give you inspiration for natural nutrition, freeze-dried food with feeling, and enjoying every day. So this is an example where you might feel to you, an egg dish doesn't seem healthy at all. With our one step better philosophy, this is compared to having a fried egg with something like fried potato or more bread products on the side of it. This is a baked egg and we're adding in spinach. If we had a fried egg for breakfast, we wouldn't really be having spinach with it. So this is a way to add in those greens. It's totally an extra. Sometimes I like to slice a few of these little fresh baby tomatoes or cherry tomatoes. They come in lots of different colors, varieties, and names these days. Anything small. You could also do a larger slice of tomato, but we just find it's nice to add something a little bit fresh on the side of the baked dish. Helps a little bit with presentation. I try and watch food shows, and they always have that little bit of extra something, a little bit of extra garnish or something that makes it look extra good on the plate. So that's what I'm going to try with this. So it's 20 to 25 minutes depending on your oven. This is what it looks like. You should be able to know it's done when the egg looks kind of set and cooked in the middle. It shouldn't really still look wet and shiny. Safety first, always use an oven mitt or something. I have a hot pad underneath. It's very hot. Normally you could even let it sit for a few minutes because nobody needs to eat it when it's this hot. But in this case, I want you to see how easily it comes out of the pan. I cut it into 8 pieces here. You do what works for your family. Thinking about it, I always try and think about the number of eggs. So this is 5 eggs. So for our family, technically that should do 4 to 6 servings. If you have people in your household who eat 2 to 3 eggs a day or more, I know those people are out there, then this probably won't serve as many. I do like how it comes out just as a whole piece there. And as I was saying before, I like to serve it with a few little slices of tomato on the side. And I think this recipe is pretty forgiving. I think it's pretty hard to ruin, but please don't take that as a challenge. What we're going for is like a nice, even, baked, fluffy egg right there with spinach and everything already in it. And I hope you enjoy. So that's it for our Greek-inspired breakfast pie. Thank you for watching. Part of our Thriving Life philosophy is enjoying every day, so we make food that we enjoy. I hope you like the recipe, but if it wasn't to your taste, then I hope you like the next one. Thanks for watching. We're whisking up some breakfast pie. We're going to make pie for breakfast. Breakfast pie, and it's Greek-inspired. Oh, maybe you're really anti-vampire. Maybe you use a ton of garlic. Ooh, better remember to put a timer on. Made that mistake before. Part cow, part blah, blah, blah. Let me just clean up my area a little bit in progress. As you can see, well, hopefully I will show you.